NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte had some sharp words for Europe regarding the continent's military preparedness. Now, he told EU lawmakers, and I'm quoting here, to keep on dreaming if they think it's possible to defend Europe without the United States. His remarks come with relations between Europe and the U.S. at a low point amid President Trump's repeated efforts to acquire Greenland. Trump has insisted the U.S. needs to take control of the Arctic island to prevent Russia and China from doing so. DW's Teri Schultz looks at whether those concerns are justified.
Greenlanders have been worried about foreign incursions.
People don't sleep at night. Our family, our friends, everybody is anxious in Greenland right now.
But it's Donald Trump himself who's causing the insomnia, insisting the island needs to become U.S. territory to be safe.
You have Russian destroyers and submarines and China destroyers and submarines all over the place.
That's not the case today, at least. A look at marinetraffic.com, which shows the movements of vessels worldwide, indicates none of the ships around Greenland right now are identified as Russian or Chinese. And the man in charge of Denmark's Joint Arctic Command says that's the norm.
I've been commander up here for 2.5 years. I haven't seen any Russia or Chinese combat ships up here.
NATO leaders meeting last week confirmed there's no immediate threat to the alliance in the Arctic, but say increasing Russian-Chinese cooperation could change that.
It's been both in the maritime domain with increased joint patrols, as well as in the air domain with long-range bomber patrols being conducted jointly. It's something that we need to pay attention to.
It may actually be some islands Trump hasn't mentioned that merit more concern. The Norwegian archipelago of Svalbard, where Russia is allowed by a 1920 treaty to have a permanent presence, albeit not a military one.
They are using the presence on Svalbard, which is legally mandated, to sort of pressure Norway now and then to contest its sovereignty, contest its control, overstepping the boundaries, seeing how Norway will respond. This is very much the hybrid playbook that we are very familiar with.
Spurred on by Trump's threats to seize Greenland, NATO is expected to announce a bolstered presence in the high north, likely called Arctic Sentry, along the lines of missions launched in response to increased Russian activity in the Baltic Sea and along the eastern flank. But the credibility of the alliance's future mission may already be crippled, even though Trump has backed down from his most aggressive threats.
It has weakened NATO like nothing else before. And of course, the consequences of that is that the Kremlin is watching this. They don't have to do anything.
And even though NATO already was increasing its presence in the Arctic, European leaders are likely to return to their tactic of saying Trump was right in pushing them to do it faster, to keep peace within the alliance.
And for more, I'm joined now by Benjamin Haddad, the French Minister Delegate for European Affairs. Mr. Haddad, it's good to have you with us. I want to ask you, do you agree with Mark Rutte? Is Europe dreaming? Is it wishful thinking if you think that you can defend yourself without the United States?
I think it's an urgent necessity for Europeans actually to be able to defend themselves and to take security matters into their own hands. This is what President Macron has been defending ever since the Sorbonne speech in 2017 on European sovereignty. And I will add, this is also what American leaders have been asking from Europeans ever since Barack Obama, even before Donald Trump. We've heard Americans say they want to pivot to Asia, that they have other strategic priorities. And so now it's urgent for
You're not at that point, though, are you? I mean, as it stands right now, Europe cannot defend itself militarily without the United States.
Well, what we've seen in the last year, if you look at the support for Ukraine, actually the bulk of the support for Ukraine now is provided by Europeans, whether that's military or economic. We see 2/3 of the intelligence support, military intelligence support for Ukraine is provided by French intelligence. We see Germany, we see other European countries that are at the forefront of support for Ukraine. We've seen major investment efforts by European nations. You know, France, over the 2 terms of the Macron presidency, will have doubled its defense spending, 150 billion euros from the European Commission, precisely to bolster cooperation of the European defense industry. We have to go much further. We have no other choice. We see a world that is becoming more brutal, more violent, We see threats even coming from American allies against Denmark and the sovereignty of Denmark. We see a war of Russian aggression at our border and the threat that Russia is representing to all of European democracies. It is now time to take matters into our own hand and defend our security. But the truth is,
Mr. Haddad,
Europeans are not weak. We have the tools, we have the instruments, and we've provided the support for Ukraine, and we have to go further.
Let me ask you about the situation with Greenland. I know that France has been a staunch supporter of Greenland and Denmark. Are you comfortable with what you know about the deal, the details here that have been worked out between Mark Rutte and Donald Trump?
You know, I have no information about this. My main line is that at the end of the day, we support the sovereignty of nations and we support the territorial integrity of our European friends. That's what we defend for Ukrainians as they fight bravely for their security and their sovereignty against Russian aggression. And this is what we've said about Greenland as well. Greenland is a European territory. It's the sovereignty of the Danish people, of the Greenland people, and there should be no question about this. And this is why we've actually sent troops at the demand of the Danish Prime Minister to also contribute to the security of the Arctic, and we're ready to do more. French President Macron has actually proposed a NATO mission to be able to patrol the Arctic against the threats coming from Russia and from China. But we have to be very clear on this principle. It's up to the Danish people, to the Greenland people to decide for their future and not for predatory threats coming from outside powers. And we'll be always very firm on this principle.
All right. Well, Mr. Haddad, we appreciate your time tonight. Unfortunately, we're out of time. We appreciate your insights. Benjamin Haddad, the French Minister Delegate for European Affairs. Thank you.
Thank you very much.